Welcome to the Windsor Wednesday show. Today I have staff members, students, alumnus on the show today to talk a little bit about their University of Windsor experience. And for those watching, the Windsor Wednesday show takes place every Wednesday at 12 p.m. And we bring along these guests to talk a little bit about their U Windsor story and provide advice to incoming students. So at the top, we have Morgan Simard. She's a recent graduate, a Bachelor of Human Kinetics co-op program with a specialization in sport management. Down below, we have Devon Gale. Devon Gale is a marketing coordinator at Student Success Center and also in her first year of nursing, Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Glad to have you on the show. And we have Radha Patel. She is a student recruitment officer at the University of Windsor, and I'm glad to have all of you on today's Windsor Wednesday show. So the very first question, and we'll start with Morgan at the top, is how has the University of Windsor elevated your learning or work experience?
I'd just like to say thanks for having me, Lyndon.
Absolutely.
But how the university has helped me with my learning and with my work experience is the opportunities and the resources they've provided. And I've been lucky enough to be a part of the co-op program. And through the co-op program, I've had been able to have work experience in my field of sport management and business management. And I find I've learned a lot of communication skills and interpersonal skills that I wouldn't necessarily learn just in a regular academic setting. So I was able to put myself out there. And and I think my program also is very small. And I've been able to create personal relationships with professors as well as my classmates. And I think I've been able to build a network. And through that network, I've met a lot of great people who have different experience and perspectives of like how it is at U Windsor and how it is in the work environment. So I've been very lucky and fortunate to do that. Also, I am coming back to the university to do my master's in sport management. So I'm not leaving yet. I like Windsor a little too much. So I'm excited to get started there. So.
Yes, I also forgot to mention that you're also working for the university right now. Did you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing for the University of Windsor?
Sure. So this is my second placement with the University of Windsor. This summer, I'm working in the Office of Student Experience. So right now, it's kind of been that transition to anything virtual and online and trying to bring engagement to students in the summer as well as for the upcoming fall term. So it's been a little tricky, but we're getting through it. And I'm really excited to see what we come up with and can put in place.
Awesome. Thank you, Morgan. And for those watching, Morgan and I are a part of the team that helps put this Windsor Wednesday show together. Glad to have her on the show. We'll move down to Devon. How has the University of Windsor elevated your learning or work experience?
So much like Morgan, I was very fortunate in the sense that I got to have that practical real world experience. So I was part of the Outstanding Scholars Program. So I was with a research professor, Dr. Stephen Brooks, and he recognized that I had a passion for politics, and he was able to secure me an internship with a member of Parliament in Ottawa. So I did that for my fourth year in the fall. And I realized that I could really apply all of the things I learned in the classroom. It wasn't just theory, which was really great, which actually led to me being hired full-time that January for the winter semester. So it's the same. It's, the University of Windsor really does recognize that what you learn in the classroom has to be connected to something outside in the real world before you graduate. You have to be able to practice those skills. Windsor did pave a foundation for me to build a network, get opportunities, and apply it to the real world, which I am so grateful for.
That's such a great point. And if you can, for those watching, are you able to touch a little bit on the Outstanding Scholars Program and what it's all about?
Yes, for sure. So the Outstanding Scholars Program is essentially a program where they take students who have excelled academically with volunteer experience and community experience, and it's an application that you would do and apply for in your second year. So in your first year, you have the ability to raise your grades, transition to university, and then in your second year, you get into academic placements. So you can go with professors and do research opportunities. And this is something that's very unique to Windsor. A lot of universities don't have that undergrad research experience, but we have so many opportunities. You actually get paid for it too. So we have a lot of those paid on-campus experiences, which is so awesome for students who have to balance both work and school.
Thank you. And for those watching, definitely check out the Outstanding Scholars Program. Great opportunity to connect with professors and really focus in on some research that you'd be interested in. So thank you for sharing that, Devon. And Radha, we'll have you answer the same question as well. How's the University of Windsor elevated your learning or work experience?
Awesome. I'm going to piggyback off of the girls a little bit and say, experiential learning, when I was a student, X number of years ago, we don't need to talk about that. Those were the opportunities that I remember the most, and those were the opportunities that were that elevated my learning experience as well. I was also a co-op student. I sat on committees. I was a part of Golden Key Honor Society. All of those experiences allowed me to do exactly what the other two ladies said, which is take what I learned inside the classroom and apply it directly outside of the classroom. And that was also really great because it gives you those transferable skills when you end up applying for jobs. So, a big question, I'm a recruiter. So a big question I get from parents is, will this degree lead to a job? And it's not just about what you're learning in the classroom. It's definitely about the opportunities that are available to our students outside of the classroom. And I can actually proudly say that if you're the type of student that wants hands-on learning, almost all of our programs provide some sort of opportunity for you to be able to get that. Whether it's Outstanding Scholars or an exchange program, whether it's co-op or an internship, field studies, research, you name it, we definitely have all of those opportunities. And as a learner, that's really what helped me. In my work experience, I'm going to talk about right now, in the situation we're currently in, working digitally and working from home, I really feel like my work experience has been elevated. Unfortunately, it's due to a pandemic, but all the skills I'm learning digitally are definitely going to travel with me no matter what I do within this organization and externally from this organization. It's also been really amazing to see how agile my team has been. So it's been fantastic. We pivoted so quickly in order to be able to, keep recruiting students, keep engaged with our community, all from home and all on a digital platform. So that has been really elevating and really fantastic for me to be able to experience.
So what have you learned from this pandemic and working through this pandemic at the University of Windsor?
That you can still work really fantastically as a team. Like there's a lot of synergy that can happen online through all of the applications that we have. Technically, I've learned how to host webinars. I've learned how to be young and go on Instagram Live. I've learned how to, use the applications in Outlook to the best of their capability, which, we always used Outlook as an email platform, but realistically, there's so many aspects of it that I didn't even know existed, and now I'm using daily in my work life. So I think it's been a fantastic transition.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. The next question we have is, what has been your most memorable moment at the University of Windsor so far? And I imagine you're going to make so many great memories along the way, whether you're working or continuing to study at the University of Windsor. So we'll have Devon go first with this question.
Awesome. Sounds good. So I have to say, by far, my most memorable is actually a series of memories. So in the winter semester of my third year, I went on exchange to Gale University. And it was just this cute, quaint little village in the middle of England. And it was something that I had never experienced before. So because I'm a bit of a nerd, I kind of took it as like an all-inclusive educational resort. And that's how I approached it. So, I mean, I was able to experience, like, in between my travels and new friends, I want to say about like 10 to 12 new cultures that I had never experienced before. And then I also got to experience a whole new educational system. So I really was able to hone my love of learning and be that educational nerd like I wanted to. And it was so much fun. I got to push through my thought processes and really expand what I had thought about not only learning, but the history courses that I was taking at that time. And I got to be away from home, and I'm a commuter student, so I never got to go into residence in my first year. But now I got to go into residence and see what it was like. So all of these different things made exchange so special for me. It was definitely my most memorable semester at the University of Windsor. And I'm entering into a whole new degree into nursing. And if I can take advantage of our short-term exchange programs or our long-term semester exchange programs, or even a year, I totally will. And I will say to any student, if it's alternative spring break, if it's exchange, if it's our short-term, like 2-week science and political science programs, do it. Go out there, get out of your comfort zone, and have fun, because it will be the most memorable time.
Awesome. Thank you. I really like that point about expanding your horizons. And sometimes it takes moving to a different country to just try something new. So awesome. And I have to ask, what was your biggest takeaway from that exchange experience? Like, you went home, what did you learn the most?
I really did have a newfound appreciation for learning. So I did change over. I was in a history degree. It was history and political science. And now I'm moving into nursing. And for a lot of people, they would think like, oh my gosh, that's way too much school. But for me, I think of it now as I just get to expand what I know. I get to enjoy it, because really learning should be a joyful process, right? You should love it. You should have a passion for it. And that's what I took away from it, is that it can be not just something that you use to complete a degree, but something where you get to find out more about yourself and what motivates you. Excellent.
Thank you, Devon. We'll go up to Morgan. What has been your most memorable moment at the University of Windsor so far, and why?
Like Devon, my memory is kind of ongoing right now. I would say it's when I decided to try out for the women's hockey team at the U. I made it, so I was pretty proud of myself. I was able to challenge myself in that way. Since joining, I've learned so many valuable skills, just like life skills that you can use day to day in the classroom and on the team. Like, I've developed my leadership skills and just created another family that I can go to. And I always like a challenge, and it's still going right now. So.
Yes. And if you're able to touch on, how did you balance being a varsity athlete and then also studying at the University of Windsor?
It's very difficult to do, but as a team, we kind of set up study sessions, and we kind of get on a schedule together to make sure we complete our academics, because we are a student before we are the athlete. So just kind of got in a routine, and I incorporated work in there as well, so then I could do it all. But it was a lot of late nights, let's say.
Yes, that's exactly it. It takes a lot of hours to balance it. And the study sessions, I mean, that was probably key. You're working with your teammates probably 8 hours or plus a day, right? You're working with them on the ice and off the ice. So thank you for sharing. Radha, we'll have you answer as well. What has been your most memorable moment at the University of Windsor so far, and why?
So I'm going to break it down into two. One is a student memory when I was a student, and then one will be more of as an employee, what's the most memorable things for me. So similarly to what you guys have said, those experiential learning opportunities are really the most memorable. You know, you don't really remember sitting in a classroom and listening to a lecture. What you remember are the opportunities you had to actually use that knowledge. So I was a part of Golden Key Honor Society, who runs a project where they go to a small community in South Africa and do work there. I was the second round or the second year of making that trip. And it was absolutely, like Devon explained, it was really an incredible experience to be able to work with a different community that has different issues than you. It really opens your eyes to empathy. It really opens your eyes to what the world is outside of your own little bubble. And the great thing about that is that organization still makes those trips yearly. So they're making like a long-term impactful change in one community, as opposed to just going to a different place every time and making small changes. So all of those experiential learning opportunities is what I really remember. As an employee, I started my career working in the Student Success Center in the Odette School of Business. So part of my job was academic advising. And in that role, the most memorable experiences I have are really when you can meet a student when they're early off in their academic career, maybe struggling, maybe don't have the confidence, and support them until graduation. So there was a few stories like that where, students came to me. You really develop a relationship with your students at the University of Windsor, particularly because it is a smaller school, and being able to kind of like follow through, from that first appointment of saying, hey, you're not doing so well, to being there at that student's graduation when they graduated with honors and, did all of the things, they have a job waiting for them, or whatever the future might look like. That is truly, truly memorable.
So guiding students between those 4+ years, working in the Student Success Center, what did you learn from the students that you're mentoring and guiding? Yeah,
first year is tough. That's what you learn. The transition to first year is really, really challenging. And it's challenging for the students. That's most challenging for the students that, always did well in high school. I was that student. Always did well in high school, didn't really have to put in too much work. I didn't have to study like too much to be able to get the grades that I needed. Those students, expect to do well when they come to university. But if you don't have the skills, like the studying skills, what's the difference between studying for a math exam compared to a multiple choice exam? Those students end up struggling. So that's one thing I learned, that first year transition is very challenging. And if you can support a student through that first semester and through that first year, then the likelihood of them making it through is like exponential. So when I worked in the Student Success Center, and I know that they do it now, they really do focus on that first year transition.
Awesome, thank you. And the last question we have here for today is, for a student joining the University of Windsor this fall, what could be some advice you would provide them? And I know there's somebody watching that, Andrea, she's going into her first year of nursing this September. She popped in the comments here, so thank you for that. But for students that are just about to join the university, what could be some advice you could provide them? And we'll start with you, Morgan.
Like we've been saying all show, it's just getting involved and finding those opportunities. The university has so many resources and opportunities available. So whether it's just volunteering or doing an internship, just joining that bake sale that one day, like anything can help you push through, and then you'll meet more people, you'll be more comfortable. So it just all adds up.
Excellent. Thank you. Devon, what would be some advice you could provide? There's also a nursing student in the comments here as well. So I imagine you could share some advice to her. I mean, you're both going in your first year and you've completed a political science degree as well. What could be some advice you could share?
So I have to definitely say, piggybacking off of what Morgan said, make appointments with services, build a network. So I want to highlight 2 services in particular. The first is academic advising. So, for me as a new nursing student now, my program is very prescribed. Like I know what I'm doing every single semester. But there is still a unique path to graduation between me and between the other students. And every single person at the University of Windsor, no matter if you have a program that you can choose your courses or if it is very prescribed, you do have a unique path to graduation. So make sure that you understand what that is. Then the second service, and this is my favorite service on campus, is the writing support desk. Visit the writing support desk. So you can do up to 2 30-minute appointments every week. You go sit down with an advisor and it's completely free. So you sit down with an advisor, they help you learn from your mistakes and you gain technical writing skills. And that's something that's really difficult in the transition from high school to university, is understanding what the language is that you need to put into your writing assignments to succeed. It doesn't matter if you are in engineering, nursing, or FAS, you need all of that. So really build that network, because the opportunities are there, but you do have to do a bit of groundwork to go and actually take hold of them. And the professors and the staff, they really are there to say, okay, here is a foundation that we've laid for you. Now go make the world a better place. Take advantage of these opportunities. We'll be here if you want to come back for a master's or a continuing education, or to have a job with resources, networks, and all of that stuff. So make appointments, take advantage of the services on campus, and you will succeed.
Thank you, Devon. Heading over to you, Radha, what could be some advice you could provide to incoming students?
Yeah. So advice for this fall. This fall is very different than every other fall. We made the announcement of going completely online, or predominantly online for most students. So my biggest piece of advice is, especially in this online environment, you're definitely going to get out what you put into this, right? I know everybody's apprehensive. What is the student experience going to look like? How am I going to access all these supports that our two other panelists talked about today? They're going to be available to you, right? In the online environment, my biggest piece of advice is definitely set a schedule for yourself. Be open to those group discussions. Be open to meeting people through group projects. We've been hosting question and answer sessions with each faculty area to talk about what online education looks like to them in their specific department. And everybody is working very, very hard to make sure that online education in the fall is going to be enriching, that it's going to be engaging, that students are going to have the very similar opportunities they would have had if they were in the classroom. So my biggest piece of advice is give it a chance. There are some benefits of learning online, no commuting, you can make your own schedule most of the time. But just give it a chance and give it all you got.
Thank you. And Radha, we had a question here that actually came in, and somebody asked, how do I get in contact with you?
Oh, okay. So there's actually multiple ways. You can book appointments with me to do a live chat. So me or any of the other recruiters. If you go to the main University of Windsor page, www.uwindsor.ca, in the top banner, I believe it's the fourth one that slides over, there's a box that says, let's chat. If you click there, it'll take you actually directly to our calendars, and you can book an appointment so we can answer any of the questions that you have. If that's not what you want to do, I can give you my email address. It's my first name, so you can see it on the screen there, radha@uwindsor.ca. Pretty simple. And send me an email and we can connect that way.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I'll pop it up on the screen here as well for those watching. Definitely give her an email if you're interested in chatting. And also to the other guests, they are open. If you do have any questions afterwards, please put them in the comments and we would be happy to answer them. And now we're going to get into the giveaway winner for this week. So $50 Amazon gift card. Those entered, they liked this post. In just a moment here, we'll have the giveaway winner and I'll pop it up on the screen here. But we'll have a virtual drum roll. And congratulations to Kushali Parky on winning a $50 Amazon gift card. My apologies if I did say your name wrong, but please send us a direct message to claim your prize. And thank you so much for participating in this live stream. And thank you to our great guests for being on the show today.
Thanks.
We'll see you next time.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.